The views and opinions expressed in the DILLIGAF podcast are those of the host alone and are not intended to express those of any other person, business, or entity. The DILLIGAF podcast is for entertainment only. These are my opinions and should not be interpreted as facts or advice. Think for yourself.
Keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh, yeah. I think that we've all had enough.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the DILLIGAF podcast, talking about anything and everything that interests me. If it makes me think, laugh, cry, scream, rage, or say, what the fuck, you'll hear about it. My name's Tom. I am your host. I want to thank everybody for watching, listening on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Like I said, I appreciate everybody checking out the show. This is episode 3. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, rate, comment, share. Please help me spread the word. Get some eyes on the show, or some ears, as it were, whatever. And make sure you're following on social media on all platforms. You can find the show at DILLIGAF_pod, and you can find all that on my link tree, which is linktree/DILLIGAF_pod, or you can just scan the little QR code right up here in the corner of your screen if you're watching on YouTube, and you'll find links to everything about the show. And if you ever want to shoot me an email, it's dilligafpod@gmail.com. So, like I said, this is episode 3. Last week we went a little bit light. We were just talking about some movies and stuff. Now we're gonna get into some little bit more heavy subject matter, I guess you could say. This week we are talking about parenting. And if you saw the little trailer I dropped on social media yesterday, like I said, you're probably wondering, am I trying to piss people off? Yeah, I am. I am, because some people, some parents are out of their fucking minds. They really are. And so, and keep in mind, these are my opinions. You don't have to like them. You don't have to agree with them. But, this is what I think. Of course, there is going to be some factual information in this show today. Hopefully, most of y'all will be able to tell the difference as far as what's fact and what's opinion. So, like I said, we're talking about parenting. And right off the bat, and this is a part that is factual, because some parents don't understand this, and it's really frightening that these people are parents with these kind of attitudes. But children are people. They're human beings. They're little humans. They're people. They really are. They're not property. They're not pets. They're people. But a lot of parents don't realize that. They think their children are accessories or some shit like that. Or, like I said, they look at them as property, which is ridiculous to me. Because, I'm in the US, and owning another person has not been a thing here for like 160 some years, something like that. Other parts of the world, even longer. The US was a little behind the times on that one. But, owning another person is not a thing, even if it is a young person, even if it is a person that you created with your partner, or whatever it might be, if you adopted them, whatever. It's still a person. You don't own them. They're not property. They're not a pet. It's a child. Yes, you are responsible for them. You are responsible for helping them grow into an adult and teaching them what being an adult means, teaching them right from wrong and all that kind of good stuff. You don't own them. Sorry for anybody that feels like they own their children. You don't. They're people, and they are their own people, no matter how young they might be. That's a human being you're dealing with. I think if more parents kept that in mind, they'd probably be better parents, honestly. But let's move on here into some stuff that there's a lot of debate about, and there has been for decades, centuries, whatever, as far as like raising kids. First thing I'm going to touch on is discipline. And a lot of people have different ideas of how to discipline their children. You go back a lot of years. There's that old saying, spare the rod, spoil the child, meaning if you don't beat the kid, you're spoiling the kid. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. And I grew up at a time when spanking was still very widely accepted. Spanking with a hand, a belt, a wooden cooking spoon. Won't get into that. But and again, this next thing I'm going to say is going to bother a lot of people. And I don't care because it's the truth. Actually, it's a fact. I'm not even going to say it's truth. It's a fact. Spanking is abuse. Simple fact of life. Spanking is abuse. If you disagree with me, tough shit. Because it is. You are laying your hands in a violent manner with the intention of inflicting pain on another human being. What would you call that? I'd call that abuse. Some people might call it assault. That's abuse. I don't care what the intention is behind it. I don't care if it's just one swat on the butt, whatever it is. That's abuse. And don't get me wrong. Like I said, I was raised at a time when spanking was the norm. And so that's how I thought it was supposed to be done. I spanked my son one time and I felt like shit about it. I'm like, okay, I don't want to feel this way. I don't like seeing my kid hurt, even if it is just a swat on the ass. No, I don't want my kid to feel pain, and I don't want to be the one to inflict the pain. That's wrong. So, I figured out other ways to get a point across to my son, like, hey, don't do that. There's other ways to do it. Go back to the point. Children are people. They have reasoning skills, especially the older they get, the more they're able to use those skills. I understand when they're very, very young, it's damn near impossible to reason with a toddler, okay? I get that. I've been there. But that doesn't give you the right to put your hands on somebody ever, for any reason. The only reason you should ever be putting your hands on anybody in a violent type manner is if you are defending yourself from some kind of attack. And I'm not thinking a 3-year-old's going to be coming at you with a baseball bat or anything. So there is zero excuse or reason for ever putting your hands in a violent manner on a child. If you regularly spank your children, you are abusing them. Plain and simple. Same thing goes for shaming your children in some kind of way. And I'm not talking about telling them that they've done something wrong. That's not shaming them. That's trying to teach them. Like, no, you don't take the candy from the store and put it in your pocket. That's wrong. That's not shaming them. I'm talking about, I don't know. There are people out there who will literally make fun of their children or antagonize them about whatever it might be. If you've got a kid who's overweight, the parents will call them names or make fun of them about it. That's abuse. That is mental abuse, or your kid messes up in school or fails a test or something, you call them stupid. That is abuse. That's not discipline. So if you're doing any of these things, sit down and have a think about it, because you're failing. You are failing your kids. That's all there is to that one. And that brings me to emotions, because a lot of that would count as emotional abuse as well. Again, kids are human. They have thoughts and feelings, and they're allowed to have those feelings. They're people. They're learning how to be people. They're learning about their emotions and what makes them happy, makes them sad, makes them cry, makes them hurt. Why the hell would anyone as a parent contribute to emotional trauma, or worse yet, tell your kids, don't have those emotions, don't think that way, don't feel that way? Fuck you. I grew up in a time where hearing the phrase, don't stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about, was common. My response to that now, as an adult, knowing what I know and being a parent myself, someone says, don't cry, I'll give you something to cry about. Fuck you, is my response to that. Okay, you just slapped the shit out of me and I'm not supposed to cry? Fuck you. Not how that works, asshole. All right, so if you're one of those parents, again, you fail. Your kids have thoughts. Your kids have emotions. Your kids have feelings. Maybe try having a conversation with them, even if it's an uncomfortable conversation. Talk to your kids about what they think. Because I guarantee you, if you're one who's spanking your kids, telling your kids, don't cry, don't feel this, don't feel that, don't do that, whatever, I guarantee you some of those thoughts that they're going to have is fuck you, mom and dad. Guaranteed. Okay. And if anybody out there tries to sit there and tell me you never had a negative thought about your parents growing up, I'm going to look you in the eye and call you a fucking liar, because you know you did. Everybody did. I did. You did. My mom did. Her mom did. Everybody has had negative thoughts about their parents. Everybody's been pissed at their parents at some point growing up. Okay. Because kids are people. They have thoughts. They have feelings. They get happy. They get sad. They get mad. That's how it works. That's how humans work. Again, your kids are human. Treat them as such. And so, like, let's move on to another thing here, like activities that kids like to do. So many parents like to have so much control. That's the biggest thing. Kids, parents want to control every aspect of their kid's life. And granted, you're responsible for your children to the age of 18. Anything they do blows back on you. So if they do something wrong, if they do something illegal, it falls on you as a parent. But you know what? That doesn't mean you need to lock them down, and a lot of parents are really weird, like, oh, they don't want their kids playing video games. Why? My son is an avid gamer. He's been playing video games, god, since before he started going to school. And by the way, he was an honor student, graduated top of his class. Video games did not mess him up. He is a bright, well-adjusted 22-year-old man now. So, and he's still an avid gamer, loves his video games, but through video gaming, that kid has learned more about computers than damn near anybody I know. Without any formal education on the matter, kid can build a computer from the ground up, from nothing. So there are other things that can come out of those kinds of interests, is my point in saying that. But some people are like, no, you're not allowed to play this game. You're not allowed to do these sports. Some people keep their kids so sheltered. They don't want them playing sports. They don't want them getting into gaming. They don't want them on the computer, or, and there's kids that like making YouTube videos and that kind of stuff, like the shit that I'm doing right now. you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Let your kids have interests, you know, especially if it's not interfering with their schoolwork or anything like that. If it's just something they like to do in their time, let them. Let your children have interests and hobbies that don't revolve around education or, cleaning the house or, constantly spending time with their family. Let go a little bit, is what I'm trying to say. Let just a little bit. I'm not saying let them run wild, but let your kids have interests. There's nothing wrong with it. It's healthy. Okay. So that's going to bring us to your kids' friends. Now, I understand you want your kids hanging out with the right kind of people. You don't want them running around getting into trouble, be it legal trouble or whatever it might be, but you also can't fully dictate who your kids are friends with. You have to trust your kids a little bit. And that's the next thing on my list here is trust. Okay, you got to trust your kids to make the right choices, but you also got to allow them to make the wrong choices sometimes. Let them fuck up. Let them make mistakes. That is the best teacher in the world, is mistakes. As long as that mistake doesn't get anybody killed or land anybody in prison, it's okay. Let your kids make mistakes. And as far as friends go, oh, I don't trust their friends. I don't trust the kind of kids they hang out with. You know what? It's not about trusting their friends. It's about trusting your kid. Because if you can't trust your child to make good decisions and pick the right kind of friends and stuff like that, you know whose fault that is? Yours. You fucked up then. If you can't trust your kid, that's your fault as a parent. Because you have them all to yourself from birth through at least age 5. So you're the one responsible for teaching them what's good, what's bad, what good people do, what bad people do. And if they're running around with people spray painting walls and breaking windows, well, obviously you skipped a lesson there somewhere. Because I know one of the things that my kid learned, don't fuck with other people's property. It's not a hard concept. So, if you have an issue with your kids hanging out with the wrong people and getting into that kind of trouble, I'm sorry, that falls on you. It's your job to teach them right from wrong, and so many people want to say, oh, it's the TV and the movies and the music and the video games. Screw you. Okay. Because actors and musicians and video game characters are not the ones responsible for raising your kid. Like I said, my kid's been an avid gamer since at least age 4. Okay. And he plays all the Call of Duty games and some violent stuff. But I also took the time to explain to my son, this is a video game. So, in your game, if you're going up and punching somebody, you don't do that in real life. This is a game. This is not real life. You don't pretend to be this person. If it's you and your friends playing a little game outside in the backyard with Nerf guns, fine. But what? You're not walking around the street like it's GTA. You're not dragging people out the car like the car that just drove by and honked the horn. You're not dragging people out the car and driving away. And he never has. Not once. Not once has my son carjacked anybody. Okay. And he still plays GTA all the freaking time. So, I'm sorry that those bullshit excuses of TV and movies and video games, it doesn't hold water. It's on you. It's on the parent to let them know the difference between fantasy and reality. Okay. If you can't get that simple message across, maybe you shouldn't have kids. To just saying. And again, trust. You have to be able to trust your kids. And if you have instilled in them, right from wrong, good from bad, all that kind of stuff, then you should be able to trust them to make good decisions. So from trust, we're going to move into respect. This is a big one for me because I am of the opinion everybody walking planet Earth, man, woman, child, deserves and is entitled to respect, basic common human decency, common courtesy, respect. A lot of people like to say, oh, respect is earned. Fuck you. That is the laziest bunch of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. Respect is earned. What the? Seriously? And what I want to know, what exactly does it take to earn your respect? Please explain that to me. And why do I owe you anything? Why do I have to prove anything to some random schmuck? Okay. No, everybody is entitled to respect until they're not. Disrespect is what's earned, because you can be damn skippy. If I am standing there just straight disrespecting somebody, calling them every name in the book, and just blatantly disrespecting them, they have earned that shit. They have done something to earn it, guaranteed. And yes, even kids deserve respect. It's not a hard concept. Respect them as human beings, respect their thoughts, respect their feelings, listen to their thoughts, listen to what they have to say and how they feel. They deserve at least that much from the person that's responsible for every aspect of their life from birth to the age of 18. And it's not difficult. Kids deserve respect just like everybody else. They're human beings. Yes, I'm going to be repeating that over and over again throughout this whole episode. Kids are human beings. They deserve respect. I'm not sure how else to say it. Again, they're not property. You don't own your children. You're responsible for them. It's your job to raise them. But they're human beings. They did not choose to be born. You made the choice to be a parent. And people seem to forget that. They think their kids owe them something because I raised them, I put a roof over their head and food. Yeah, that's called being a parent. Doesn't make you special. It's not some grand accomplishment. And your kids don't owe you shit for it. Children do not owe their parents ever for anything. Like my son owes me nothing. You know, he lives under my roof still, but he's an adult. He comes and goes as he pleases. I have no say so over what he does when he comes and goes. You know, he's an adult. He makes his own choices, and I trust him enough because I am confident enough in the fact that I raised him right. I don't have to worry about anything. My kid is smart. My kid's smarter than me. Okay. I mean, so I have no worries about him at all. But other people are like, my house, my rules, that, and because it's much more common these days. Kids are living at home longer because, yeah, just, yeah. Kids are just living at home longer these days. That's just the way it is because, the cost of living is up here, but wages are down here. So, it ain't like it was back in the 50s. So a lot of people fail to understand that too. But they've got a 25-year-old, you know, son or daughter living at home, and they still want to give them a curfew and, you know, no, it's an adult. I mean, what I don't, it goes back to, your kids are not your property. They're not a pet. You don't, especially once they hit adulthood, you don't get to dictate their life to them. Their life is their own. They are human beings. From the time they're born, they're human beings. People don't get it. I don't understand why. It's not hard. But I was talking about respect. Kids deserve respect. Just at least on a basic level, respect the fact that they have their own thoughts and opinions and feelings about things, and listen to them when they try to express them. Don't again, I come from a time it was, you weren't allowed to have feelings and you weren't allowed to have opinions. If you had a dissenting opinion against your parents, you were disrespectful. Fuck that. I'm allowed to have a different opinion. So is any kid. No kid's going to agree with their parents 24/7 about everything. Okay. And again, if you say you did, you're a goddamn liar. Simple as that. And kind of along the same lines, privacy. A lot of parents don't think kids are entitled to privacy. Bullshit. And I'm not talking about I'm not talking about like babies and infants or anything like that. But when a kid gets to a certain age, and it varies from kid to kid, but they want some level of privacy, whether it's when they're, going to bed or taking a shower or changing their clothes, or what they want a level of privacy, and they're entitled to that. And then you get to the teenage years when they really want some privacy. It's okay for a kid to be in the room with the door closed. It goes back to trust. Trust your kids till they give you a reason not to. If your kids have done something, if they got caught smoking weed in the school bathroom, or doing something they shouldn't have been doing at whatever age they are, fine, you're going to lose a little bit of trust. Perfectly reasonable. But until they give you that kind of reason, trust your children. Just because they're in the room with the door closed doesn't mean they're in there building weapons of mass destruction. Maybe they're on the phone with their friends. Maybe they're just playing a video game. Maybe they're just, listening to the music that they like that you hate. Let them be their own person. If that means they want a little bit of privacy, they want to hang out in their bedroom with the door closed, who cares? Why is that such an issue? That's what I don't get. Like I said, if they've done something to lose trust, fine, perfectly reasonable to, Trust is something that has to be earned back. Fine. But if that's just you as a parent, like, no, you get no privacy. This is my house. Shut the fuck up. Sit down. Have like switch to decaf or something. Okay. Because yeah, again, kids are people. They have the same kind of thoughts and feelings and emotions that you do and that I do. And I enjoy my privacy. I'm sure kids do too. I know I did when I was a kid. I like to sit in my room with the door closed, play my video games. I was perfectly happy, and I was lucky enough that I had a parent who at least respected that on some level. And that's going to bring us to property. Yes, children have property. Just because you paid for that video game system or that TV in their room or their clothes or their bed or their dresser, it's theirs. It's not yours. That a lot of parents seem to miss that one too, and I'm going to put this in a different context so maybe somebody can understand how stupid it sounds when parents say they're going to, take something away. And I'm not talking about groundings or taking away privileges. Okay. Yes, if the child does something, if they're messing up in school, their grades are slipping or whatever, yes, tell them you can't play video games for a week or you can't go ride your bike with your friends for, a week or whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about saying that you're going to like take everything away and sell it or give it away or no, you don't have that right. Okay. Like I said, I'm going to put this in a context that maybe will let you see how stupid and ignorant that sounds. Like I give my best friend a Christmas present. Actually, I'll use a real example. I gave my best friend a Christmas present this year. Cool little replica Rickenbacker John Lennon guitar because my best friend's real into John Lennon. And if I get pissed at him, can I go knock on his door and say, "Give me that back. I'm going to give it away because you pissed me off"? No, he's going to punch me in the face. Okay. I show up at his door like that. All right. So, why the hell, if that's not acceptable to do to another adult, why is it acceptable to do it to a kid? I mean, honestly, that's worse because kids are much more highly emotional than a lot of adults because they're still learning about their emotions, especially if you're talking about younger kids. And if we're talking about teenagers, their emotions are all over the freaking place. And and I'm going to give an example of myself where I did something like this that to this day I feel like shit about because it was wrong. It was a huge fuck up as a parent. I was married for a number of years. I had a stepson who was a few years older than my son. And he had some issues with school and everything. And I got so angry one day, I went in his room and broke something of his intentionally. It was a Lego Harley Davidson motorcycle. It's probably about that big. Took it, threw it on the floor. Now it was Legos. He was able to put it back together. It wasn't any kind of permanent damage. But that was wrong. That was not mine to destroy. That was completely out of line and completely wrong on my part as a parent. And it didn't prove anything. It didn't make the situation better. If anything, it hurt my child's feelings. That's not something any parent should ever want to do. So, and I learned from it. Never did anything like that again, and I won't because that's fucked up. That was fucked up on my part. It should have never happened. But again, being a parent is a learning experience. I don't care how many kids you have, you will learn something new every fucking day. So, yeah, kids are entitled to their property. Like I said, nothing wrong with taking away privileges as a punishment, video games, toys, outdoor stuff, hanging with your friends, whatever. That I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about either destroying or straight up getting rid of something because you're pissed at your kid. You don't have that right. I don't care if you paid for it. I really don't. Just because it's under my roof. Every parent loves that excuse. It's under my roof. fuck you and your roof. I mean, the closest comparison I can make is a fucking dictator. Okay. And I can guarantee you this, if you raise your children like that in that type of environment where you are a dictator and you're dictating everything, every aspect of their life, and they're getting hit for things that they're doing wrong, and they're being shamed and not allowed to feel their emotions, not allowed to express themselves, can't have friends, can't, your children are going to hate you. Promise you that. They will hate you, and they will put you in the cheapest old folks home they can find just to get rid of your ass when the time comes. I promise. And I'll be standing outside the window laughing in my wheelchair with my oxygen. Because hopefully I've done a good enough job raising my kid. He's not going to put me in that place. But I mean, I don't understand parents. Like I said, back in the day, parenting was done a certain way. A lot of it was wrong. It was very wrong. No kid should ever be hit for any reason. Hitting a child is abuse. I don't care what your reason is. I don't care how you try to justify it. I don't care if it's just a spanking. It's not. It's not okay. Laying your hands in a violent manner on another human being is wrong. Period. Don't care if it's an adult, a child, your child, whatever. Keep your fucking hands to yourself. Isn't that something that we always try to teach kids? Keep your hands to yourself. Now I'm going to smack you. And you wonder why kids are confused. Keep your hands to yourself, but mom and dad are going to slap the shit out of me. So that's my little rant on parenting. And I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that disagree with me. There's going to be a lot of people that say, oh, don't tell me how to raise my kids. I'm not telling you how to raise your kids. I'm giving my opinion. If you disagree with me, I don't care. This is my opinion based on things that I have learned being a parent, and being a child. I mean, there were things about my childhood, I'm not even going to get into that. But when I became a parent, my thought, my belief has always been, I want my child to have a better life than I did in every kind of way. And that should be every parent's sole wish for their children, to have a good life, to be healthy and happy, and to give your child a better life than you had. I mean, depending on how you grew up, whatever, but that should be every parent's only wish. And I don't think a lot of people consider that. Like I said, I don't think a lot of people view their children as human beings. They view them as property or something like that. And it's sad, and it's not right. Your kids are human beings. They're allowed to have thoughts. They're allowed to have feelings. They're allowed to have emotions. They're allowed to have opinions on things. Talk to your children. I think that's the part that some people find so hard, is talking to their kids, especially about certain subjects. I get it. It's uncomfortable sometimes to talk about certain things with your kids. It is what it is. I'm sorry, but that's part of the deal. I don't have sympathy for you because I've had to have those conversations with my kid. It's part of being a parent. That's like I said, your kids did not ask to be put here. They did not ask to be put in your care. They did not ask to live in your house. You chose that responsibility when you made the choice to be a parent. Your kids don't owe you shit. Okay, if anything, you owe your kids, because I can only speak for myself. My son was the best thing that ever happened in my life, and just made my life so much better. So I feel like I owed him a good life for him making my life so much better. He doesn't owe me a damn thing. But there's other parents out here that are like, their kids turn 18. Okay, now you can start paying us back for all the food and the house and all the stuff that we bought for you. No, fuck you. That's your job. You're the parent. That's your job. They don't owe you nothing. So, all right, I think that's enough ranting about parenting for today. Like I said, hopefully something good came out of this. If you agree with me, great. If you have differing opinions, hey, let me know. Drop me a comment. Send me an email. Drop me a DM on social. Something. I want to hear. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I really, honestly want to hear feedback on this one, because like I said, these are my opinions. Most of it. So some of the stuff I said was facts, whether y'all like it or not. It's just factual information. So. But anyway, again, thank you to everybody for watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast from. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, rate, comment, share. Please share. Help spread the word. Even if you hated this episode and you just want to, show it to people. Hey, look at this idiot talking all this bullshit about being parents. Fine, share it. Let them watch. I don't care. But make sure you're following on socials. It's at DILLIGAF_pod on all the social media, except for Facebook. It's just at DILLIGAFpod. And that's a text message. What I get for not putting my phone on silent. But anyway, like I said, Facebook doesn't like underscores, so Facebook, it's just at DILLIGAFpod. And you can find all that stuff on my link tree, which is linktree/DILLIGAF_pod, or scan the little QR code right up here in the corner of your screen if you're watching on YouTube. And if you want to shoot me an email, it's DILLIGAFpod@gmail.com. Like I said, I want feedback. I want to hear what y'all have to say. What do you think? Tell me how about your parenting style. How do you handle your kids? How do you handle discipline and stuff? I know I didn't get into I talked about the wrong kind of discipline. I didn't get into how I really handle stuff. But honestly, kids are reasonable. They can be. Talk to them. Sit them down and have a reasonable conversation with them on their level. You might be surprised. But yeah, with that, I'm going to wrap things up. Again, thank you to everybody for checking out the show. And if anybody has any issues with anything that I have said here today, ask yourself one question. Do I look like I give a fuck? Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want